why should anybody read? Reading is very, very important, but why should anybody read, and why you should read 200 pages per day? You know, uh, uh, we were talking about yesterday. We tried to find out a solution by which you can cover a 200-page book, a 300-page book in one day. There are so many such readers who are reading books at a very fast pace. So the question is, why should you be reading those many pages? And how can you read those many pages in one day? So let me just give you some perspective. Let me build the foundation first, and then we'll go one by one into the topic. So if you look at the particular quotation, it says that leaders are readers and readers are leaders. So if you find out throughout the entire of history, you will find all the great men of this century. You can find out, you can count their name on fingers, but all those people had been amazing readers. So they were reading voraciously. They were just reading as much as possible because that ensured that they were achieving more in their life. So if you look at the lives of all these people, look at Bill Gates. Okay, Bill Gates reads 52 books a year. 52 weeks are there. He reads approximately 52 to 60 books in a particular year. And why is that happening? It's happening because he has been reading, and that particular company is so very successful, Microsoft, just because of his reading abilities. Okay, so most of the CEOs you'll find they read a lot. Warren Buffett does not go to sleep without reading 500 pages. And there is a certain amount of logic. Warren Buffett is the richest man. These two people on the screen are the richest men on this earth, the top 10 according to Forbes list. And there's certainly a connection which is connected to reading. But the problem is, the best part about reading, let us talk about the best part about reading. So what these people do is, when they read a particular book, in one singular book, in 3 hours time, they are kind of getting the knowledge and experience and wisdom of somebody who has spent their last 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and doing a particular thing. So these books are very, very important for them to download that knowledge and kind of implement it in their own companies. And that is why they're achieving so much amount of success in their life. So the problem is that we do not understand what happens if I'm stuck with a particular problem. I'll go and try to find out my own solution for it. So that is not actually the right way of solving the problem. What you can alternatively do is, and what these great men do is, they will not go and solve the problem on their own. They'll find out one book which would have already solved the problem. So the thing is, the right solution is you go and find out that one book in which that particular problem that you are faced with has already been solved. And that is what these great men practice. Now, if you look at Bill Gates. Bill Gates has a very amazing saying. In the corporate world, in the companies where you go for success for your job, they are not paying you for anything else but your knowledge. Knowledge is what is there between your 2 ears, the 6-inch kind of space, your brain. So people, the companies which are hiring you, they're hiring you for your brain, for the kind of knowledge. This is knowledge economy in today's day. So if you look at knowledge and how knowledge has evolved over the period of time, during the 1900s, it was found out that knowledge was doubling every century. So whatever collective knowledge of the world was there, it took 1 century, 100 years for that to double. So from 1800 to 1900, the percentage was 200%. But in 1945, because the people started connecting, there were newspapers, there were various kinds of media which was happening. People were saying, congregating, and they were sharing their ideas. Because of that, it came down to 25. In 1982, it was just 12 to 13 months. And in today's day, 2020, approximately, according to IBM, we are doubling the knowledge every 11 to 12 hours. So maybe the joke on which Warren Buffett has laughed yesterday, you will be laughing on that particular joke today. That is how fast we're sharing the knowledge today. So it's an age of knowledge sharing. And if you do not read, you are into a very big problem. Now, if you look at the reading speed of an average human being, so you and me, an average human being reads at approximately 250 words per minute. Now that is the same speed at which you understand words. Okay, so that it's the same speed. So I listen and understand 250 words, and I speak 250 words. That is directly proportional to each other. But there are some learners, the top 1%, they can read upwards of 400 words per minute. So what is the direct correlation? If you can read more words, you can create, acquire more knowledge. And if you have more knowledge between your 2 ears, what's going to happen? The companies are going to pay you more. And that is how many of the people are acquiring success in their life. The CEOs, they read 60 books, 100 books in 1 year. There is a reason behind it, because they want to acquire more and more of knowledge. Why? Because this is knowledge economy, and knowledge is the most important asset that you can have in your time. So how do we speed read? Now, Swami Vivekananda was known for his quantum speed reading technique. So without even opening the book, he used to find out what is their content there inside a particular book. That is also a reality because of quantum mechanics, because of quantum science. That is also a reality, but that is a topic for some other day. We will be now focusing on how can you read fast, how can you acquire knowledge really fast, and how can you take it to the next level? How can you move from 250 words per minute, the speed at which you're talking, to maybe 500 words per minute, right? So how can we do that? The problem with reading is that we are still using the same old methods. So what was taught to you in the kindergarten, you're still using the same method. And that is why it's very difficult for you to acquire more and more knowledge in a very smart way. So let us talk about those smart ways of how you can actually improve your reading speed. Now, for all of you, can just read this particular paragraph, small paragraph, and just read it. And there's a particular observation. So, Shabnam and everybody, can you just confirm what have you read? Can you read it properly? Anybody who will just volunteer to say that, are you able to read this?
Yes,
Because
sir.
it's a test of your mind. So if you look at
Can I?
the words are jumbled up, but still
So
you are.
can we?
Yes, you can. You can.
Things can appear difficult when you first look at them, but a little efforts can help you to see better.
In the 3 days workshop also, this is what we did. We tried to tell you that you are a super genius. The brain that God has gifted you, is kind of a supercomputer in itself, but the problem is you have not been using it. So the same applies to reading also. If you're reading properly, if you're actually learning properly, you can learn things very very fast. So over here, it's a practical demonstration that words are jumbled up. So ideally, you could not have read it, but our brain is so sharp, is so fast, you can read this properly. And let us use these kind of techniques to improve our speed reading, to increase our knowledge base of our brain, and maybe rise high in our careers and in our corporate life. Okay. So first thing first is very, very important. These are your 6 best friends. These are your 6 and 7 best friends, right? So who, what, why, where, when, what if, how. These are your best friends. Use them. Because if you have the curiosity, if you have the learning desire, then you will be able to learn anything, or speed reading will come secondary. But the first thing is you should be having the desire to know first. They say that you can take the donkey to the water, but you cannot make it drink. So if you're not willing to learn, you will not be willing to learn more and learn in a faster way. So first thing first, make them your friends. Who, what, why, where. So ask questions. Just like small children, they ask a lot of questions. Become curious in life, and then your reading speed will definitely increase. Now, for all of us, I told you one very simple observation some time back. I said, you can understand 250 words per minute. And that is the exact number of words you actually read in a minute. Why? Because you're able to understand only those many words, and you can speak only those many words. Since you are able to speak 250 words per minute, and that is the words you're able to understand. Why? Because most of the times when you're reading, in your mind, you are doing a monologue. You're actually reading word by word. So we have to turn from actually reading word to word into being a visual learner. Okay. So do not do that monologue. Do not speak to yourself. Do not speak in your mind also. If you speak in your mind also, then your reading will always be slow. So stop this monologue is the first thing that you should be doing if you want to increase your speed of reading. Now there is the concept of word chunking. So most of the learners, average learners, what they do is they read word by word. To kill, to kill two birds. That is how they read. But there is a concept of word chunking. We never, our brain, if we look at the fast learners, if you look at the people who do speed reading, they combine the words together and then they read them. Okay. So our gaze is very powerful. By using that particular gaze, what we can do is we can combine these words together, and then we will be able to learn them very, very fast. Okay, so word chunking, combining these words is very, very important. That is concept number 2. The third concept is that you have the way of jumping from words to words. So initially, a learner might go from word to word, but after a certain point of time, you keep on jumping from one word to the next word. So if there is a sentence of 8 to 10 words, you do 2 to 3 jumps over there, and then you complete that sentence. Over a period of time, when you go for speed reading, you have to increase that number of jumps. Okay, so you have to increase those number of jumps, and in a sentence you can decrease it, but that has to be, movement of jumps has to be there in a proper sequence. This jumping will ensure that you will be learning more and more concepts very, very fast. Now there's another concept which is called regression. So what happens is, after I have read 4 to 5 sentences, then suddenly I'll feel that I have not understood, or I missed the first sentence. And we have the habit of going back to the old sentence. Okay, so if you do that, you're just wasting your time. So please do not waste your time by going back to the same topic again and again. How you can do that? That will come with practice. It will not happen immediately. You have to keep on reading a lot, and because of reading a lot, you will be eliminating this regression thing that is happening. When you eliminate regression, you will be able to move things faster. Now all of you know, this is a very important concept of peripheral vision. So as of now, look at this lady. See, she's looking at directly in front, but still this red card is visible to you, to her. So if she's looking, even if you're looking straight, you are able to see things on your left and right side to a certain degree, to a certain angle. So that particular concept also has to be used while you're reading. So in the particular page, if you're reading a particular book, okay, so your focus should be not to go from word to word, but rather you should be focusing on sentence, that one sentence and the middle of the sentence. Your eye should be focused on the middle of the sentence, and you should be moving from sentence number 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. That is how you should be jumping. Okay, because if you go word by word, it will take a lot of time. So the speed readers, what they do is they jump from this particular sentence to this particular sentence, but that will not come immediately. That will come over a period of time. And what is the concept that they're using there? They're using the concept of peripheral vision, because your brain can actually, your eyes can actually look in both left and right directions from the center. So you have to create, imagine an imaginary line right in the between of the text, and you have to keep on jumping from line number 1 to line number 2. That will increase your speed of reading. Now, there's a concept of skimming. Most of the toppers of the class, they do it. Okay, most of the people, they do it. So when you pick up a book, do not directly go inside the book and start reading it. That's an absolutely wrong method of reading a book. What you can do is you can skim through the book. So what is the meaning of skimming? To get a fair idea of what this book is talking about. Suppose I have picked up a book on psychology. So what I can do is I can read the introduction. I can go and read the last particular page of that particular chapter or that particular book. What I can also do is I can keep on scanning through the pages to find out which are the pictures. So what that is doing is it's giving my brain an idea of what is going to come forward. So when I start reading the book, it will be much, much simpler for my brain to actually go fast. Otherwise, if I go blindly, I do not know what's coming in between, then I will be taking a lot of time. So skimming is one concept which most of the learners, the speed learners, they use a lot. So do not start the book immediately. If you look at the toppers will go for the titles. They will be going for the section headings. They'll be looking at the pictures. They'll be going to find out what are the questions which are going to get asked from this reading comprehension. And then they will be actually going and reading the topic, because in that case, what's happening is they'll be having a much better understanding and at a much faster pace compared to the normal traditional way. Okay, so this is the concept of skimming. Now, what is also important is you keep on timing yourself, you keep on challenging yourself. So if I have done a 200 page book in 3 hours on one day, the next target for me should be, I should be able to do it in 2 hours, 45 minutes. If you do not challenge yourself, if you do not keep on, increasing your stress levels of doing that activity faster, you are not going to grow. Okay, so that important topic is timing yourself. And the next one is improve your vocabulary. It's very, very important. It's very, very crucial. If you want to speed read, the biggest stumbling block that you'll be facing is the vocabulary. So suppose you're reading a particular paragraph and suddenly you come across a word which is difficult. What do? Either you skip that word, so your understanding comprehension is not there, or you go to the dictionary, which wastes your time. So over a period of time, your target should be to increase your vocabulary. And if you look at these people who are, I said leaders are readers and readers are leaders. When I said that, if you look at leaders, they have very rich vocabulary. Why do they do that? Because they have to read multiple number of articles, multiple number of newspapers, a lot of books they have to read. So if their vocabulary is not that good, they will not be able to complete the timelines. Okay, they will not be able to do it in time. Now, very important, practice makes perfect. So it's not going to happen in one day, as is the concept that we follow at MMDC. Learning of increasing your speed reading is not going to happen. So if anybody says that you can increase your speed reading in just 45 minutes, in 30 minutes, please do not fall prey to that particular logic. It's not possible. You have to practice it for some time. You will be failing sometimes, and you will be growing by 1%. If you keep on doing that, definitely after a certain amount of practice, you will be increasing your ability to read. Now, this is the most important concept that I wanted to leave all of you with. Not all the books that you have picked up on your hand are to be completed. Not all of them. So this is, Francis Bacon. He was one of the greatest philosophers, and he said that some books should be tasted, some devoured, and only few should be chewed and digested thoroughly. So not all the books that you pick your hand on have to be read end to end. So if you look at all the big, readers, all the big leaders, Bill Gates or maybe Warren Buffett, they do not read everything. Every book is not to be read. So you have to find out what to skip and what to read. So if you have clearly understood that particular logic, you will be focusing on books that interest you, on books that relate to you, and in that case, your speed reading will automatically move into a different zone altogether. Okay, so I'm almost done with the presentation, but this is an indicator of where you can go. So I told you, an average speaker, they will be able to understand and read approximately 250 words per minute. But there is a speed which can go from 500 to 1500 words per minute. So that is how high you can go. And as I told you, if you have more knowledge with you in today's date, you will be, weighed your weight in gold if you have more knowledge with you. So all these people, it's an knowledge economy that we are running into. So if you have more knowledge with you, your life is just going to change, your life is going to transform, and you'll be receiving a lot of brownie points because of your knowledge. So try to increase your knowledge, try to increase your speed reading capacity, and you'll be getting a lot of benefits because of it. The final conclusion, sorry for the disturbance, the final conclusion is that while you are increasing your speed, you should not compromise on the comprehension. Okay, so these two have to go hand in hand. You have to balance both of this. So just because you're able to read very fast should not mean you have not understood the concept, and you have to keep on regretting back again and again. Do not do that, because that is again a time waster. So I wish all of you start speed reading. I wish all of you start understanding the nuances of knowledge economy, of increasing your knowledge base, and start reading books as soon as possible. Really, thank you so much, everybody, for attending this particular class. It's time now for Yamshi to come up for the vote of thanks.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.